Hi people. So this one's a little bit spontaneous, and I don't want to make this a running habit, as I don't think the people involved are worth it. But rather, I want to express my stance on this because just for the record, really, that's what it's about. It's just for the record. Um, But before I get into that, there's a number of things going on in the world right now. There's these violent protests in Iran, or rather, the violence in Iran, involving the young woman who was ended up killed, really, from the morality police. Officially, she had a heart attack, but she was only, I believe, 29, no pre-existing heart problems. So, this is a situation to watch what's going on in Iran. I don't think it's going to change anything because Iran has had mass protests before, anger's boiled over and nothing significantly has changed, but it's definitely one to watch. The situation in Ukraine and Russia, which is sort of what this video is partially about, um, is definitely an ongoing thing. Right, what I'm going to do here, the way I'll approach this is just directly quote some of the comments I've had on my last video, which I uploaded last night about Roger Waters of The Who. Excuse me, not The Who, Pink Floyd. Apologies to The Who. Yeah, I mean, I knew uploading that it would probably trigger a few people because this is what happens when you criticize celebrities. Their fans come out of the woodwork to have something to say. Um, whether these people are actually his fans or not, I don't know. But anyway, I'm gonna read out from them, and if they don't like me doing this, they shouldn't have left the comments. You know, this is the internet; it's a public domain. Um, so it's their problem. They shouldn't have left the comments if they didn't believe this. I'm gonna just read this out. By the way, I've also had supportive comments, so I don't want to imply that it's all one-sided. Gary Garner's Goy Pride. All right, Gary, if you're watching this, you've been on my channel now for a while. I've come across a number of your comments. You've repeatedly said me and others who support me are deluded. We're all, this isn't verbatim, but you've implied that we're sheep. We just follow the mainstream narrative. We're idiots, and you know best. Um, so this is what Gary's come out with. I have responded to Gary incidentally, so I'm not just taking a cheap shot here by responding in this video. I've already responded to him. It is disgraceful. You haven't made the effort to research what's actually going on in Ukraine, to be honest. I just give up with willful, ignorant people like you. Don't mistake me for a supporter of Putin either. You actually disgust me. Wake TF up and research the truth, for fuck's sake. Well, Gary, I'm calling you a Putin supporter, whether you call yourself one or not. If you're going to basically victim blame, blame the Ukrainians for what's happened to their country, the invasion that's happened to their country, if you're going to push the narrative that this is all the fault of NATO and Ukraine, you can't be neutral on this. You just can't. So, by extension, that means you are a Putin yes man, whether you admit it or not. I'm calling you that. And if you don't like being called that, then you can condemn Putin. Um, I've made it clear why I condemn Roger Waters. And by the way, I'm not the only one. If you look at his latest post on this, there's a lot of people um, condemning his stance. Apparently, it's his farewell tour. Well, a lot of people after this will be saying good riddance. He's an accomplished musician, but he's the clueless one, and so are you. Are you still so thick and deluded to believe that there's something nefarious going on in the Ukrainian side to the extent that would justify the full invasion of their country? I mean, I've always said, of course, there's going to be unsavory factions among the Ukrainians. It's a country of 44 million people. Of course, you're going to have some unpleasant factions, as you have in every country. But this has echoes, if you have a basic grasp of history, this has echoes of the 1930s when Hitler basically annexed land, for example, the Sudetenland, under the pretext that he was protecting German speakers. And what happened? The West was complacent, and over time it was more and more land, and we ended up with World War II. Now, Putin's not going to stop with Ukraine, okay? Um, that's the reality. Anyway, I'll get on to the next comment because Gary Gorner's Plow, whatever bizarre name he calls himself, Gary Garner's Goy Pride, I've no idea what that even means. Um, and some people might look at that and think my response is a bit blunt. But this guy has been coming onto my channel a lot recently, and I don't really know why he bothers. Um, the other person, Gary McKay. Oh, Jesus wept. Please broaden your news sources. Crisis is fucking embarrassing. That's verbatim. I apologize for the language. Watch the Duran, or the New Atlas, or the Naturalist Capitalists, or even the Grey Zone. I'm sure they're all experts. They're all on YouTube for now. And Oliver Stone and Peter Hitchens both have eons more knowledge about the situation than you do, clearly. Well, as I've already responded to Gary, another Gary, Oliver Stone is a talented filmmaker. He has also been a long-standing anti-West propagandist. I mean, this is a guy who made his name, exposing corruption in the corridors of power of America. Films like Nixon, JFK, and so on. His trilogy of Vietnam War films. I actually think he's talented. I've never taken that away from Oliver Stone. I think he has talent. Some of his films are cinematically impressive. But in terms of his politics, um, he is another one of these fake pacifists, these people who sort of put on the front of, well, we're all about peace, we're all about human rights, we're all about the truth. And what I think is utterly contemptible, utterly despicable, utterly loathsome, quite frankly, is people who masquerade as pacifists and masquerade as just trying to find out the truth, while simultaneously being propagandists for a murderous, lying dictator. How do you reconcile those two things? You have to be absolutely thick to argue that those two things can be reconciled, and those who are doing it. What I said in one of my responses to these guys was actually I've sometimes used the expression "useful idiots." That's not entirely true, and I only partially retract it. I think some people are useful idiots, but some people actually are pretty smart. And that actually makes their position worse because, a useful idiot could just be poorly informed. And in the case of Russia, a lot of Russian nationalists, they literally have no other source of information. But in the case of educated people like Peter Hitchens, people who have access to different sources, people like Oliver Stone, I honestly think it's beyond contemptible that someone like Stone, who interviewed Putin, and I saw snippets of those interviews. It was I wanted to throw up, quite frankly. Stone acted like a little starstruck kid, meeting his idol. It was pathetic. It was groveling. It was embarrassing. That's what's truly embarrassing, Gary. Um, and maybe it's an aura of power because Putin's so famous and so powerful. I don't know what it is, but I just have no respect for someone who preaches, on one hand, they're all about accountability and exposing the corruption of power and truth and all the rest of it, while simultaneously being a yes man for dictators like Putin. It's disgusting, actually. And I think you get people who, like these guys, that have been trolling my channel, and they think they're smart by being contrarian, right? They go to the murky little recesses of the internet because they think it makes them clever. Oh, I don't follow the mainstream sources. I know better than everyone else. But the question I would ask is, do you question your own sources? Do you question your own sources? I mean, you could say that most news networks are just full of it. They're making the Russian tyrant look bad. Pure Putin is a victim of misinformation. Um, okay, so let's ignore this CNN, the BBC, you name it, a whole host of other sources. Just ignore them all. Ignore journalists who are actually on the ground. Um, and let's look at these individual conspiracy types. They obviously know better, people who don't actually question their own sources. Um, It's just I don't know. I can't think of the right word to sum up what I think of such people. Um, but one thing I do question is a purely practical thing. Why do they gravitate to my channel? I mean, it's not like I have a major channel and I've got, I'm really influential. I mean, Roger Waters has 2.5 million likes on his page. Why? Because he's a prominent musician. He's in one of the most successful rock bands of all time, which, by the way, doesn't make him a political expert, Gary. I don't know why you deluded that it does, but, well, actually, you said Oliver Stone and Peter Hitchens are experts, but, well, Peter Hitchens, in the case of Peter Hitchens, yeah, intelligent man, that doesn't mean he can't be a quisling. Intelligence doesn't necessarily give someone a moral high ground. There were some senior members of the Third Reich who were very intelligent, cultured men, intelligent men who defended some of the most evil acts humanity has ever seen. So simply being intelligent and being able to hold some semblance of an argument does not give someone moral high ground. And I take the basic view that anyone who supports Putin or apologizes for Putin or victim blames the Ukrainians, it's no good saying, oh, I don't support Putin, but I'm going to blame the Ukrainians and NATO. That is de facto supporting Putin. You can't have it both ways. Gary Goy Pride. You can't say that you don't support Putin whilst you're blaming all of this on NATO and the Ukrainians. Look at a bloody map. Do something useful. Look at a map of the world and see where NATO actually is. Russia is not surrounded by NATO. NATO did not attack Russia. Russia, on the other hand, has not only attacked Ukraine, it attacked Georgia 2008 when the world was watching the Beijing Olympics opening ceremony. It propped up the murderous Assad regime for years and, lied to the world about that. Assad was just an embattled dictator fighting terrorists. Lying to the world about the fact that Assad actually started that war by brutally crushing legitimate protests. That's the reality. That's how the Syria war started. Islamist factions actually only were galvanized further into the war around 2013. We didn't hear about Islamic State in 2011. Why is that? It's because they were galvanized after Russia and China blocked UN condemnation of Assad's atrocities. They came into the quagmire and exploited it. Um, I just think we're in a very critical point in history here, and I really think that these people who are coming out of the woodwork to defend Putin or to victim blame the country that's been invaded, they're on the wrong side of history. They really, really are. And someone like Waters, who passes himself off as a pacifist, even if peace were to be achieved with the sort of idea that he wants, which is basically the Ukrainians give up the country. Jeremy Corbyn has the same school of thought. I just think it is contemptible for someone like that to masquerade as a human rights activist when he is blaming victims of aggression. I mean, those mass graves that have been discovered, the atrocities at Bucha and Kramatorsk and a host of other locations. For Roger Waters, and I know he's not the only one, but he's the one in the press right now, to stand up there and say he's all about human rights, I think that's a callous insult to innocent Ukrainians. And if I were them, I'd feel beyond disgusted. I mean, I'm not even Ukrainian, and I'm disgusted by it. Um, but the reason I made this video, I'm not trying to. It's not so much a case of, well, I'm trying to expose these guys. It's more a question of why do they do it? I mean, I don't understand why people troll a channel that they don't like. If I don't agree with a channel, I might leave a comment saying so, but that's it. I'm not going to hang around. I think that is very bizarre behavior. It's I wouldn't say stalking. I don't want to give them that sort of power because that's too strong a word. But my channel's open to anyone to watch. So I wouldn't use the word stalking, but I think it's very strange behavior to cling on to a channel you so obviously disagree with. So if you guys really think I'm full of it, if you think I'm an idiot, if you think I'm a sheep, whatever it is you think of me, just do yourselves a favor and frankly piss off. Stop wasting my time. Stop wasting your time. Clearly we're not going to meet halfway. I think you're full of it. You think I'm full of it. So let's stop wasting each other's time. I mean, I show my face, right? I say what I believe. I've never claimed that I know everything. I've never claimed I'm an expert on anything. I'm simply a guy who is standing up for my conviction, talking about issues that are in the news, things I feel strongly about. That's it. That's all I've ever done. Um, if you really feel this strongly about it, why don't you go to the NATO Facebook page and have a go at them? Or, I mean, I'm just a regular guy. I'm not in a position of power or influence. So don't. Maybe you think that you can delude me as much as you're deluded. To get into the little dark corners of the internet. It's not going to happen. Um, I could look at those channels that you recommended, but I can already predict what they'll be all about. That we're all deluded. That it isn't what you think it is. That we're in a sort of matrix type situation, and NATO and the West are the real liars, and all the rest of it. It's just predictable. It's cliche. It's a waste of my time. It's what it is. Um, so it's not a case of not being open minded. It's just I know what that involves. I know what the pitch is. I worked with someone actually who was very much this school of thought. Now, as a matter of record, I haven't really mentioned this before. Um, this guy was basically pro Putin, and I knew what his views on this subject were. But you know what? We didn't get into heated debates about it. Not because I lack conviction, but for the sake of decorum. I didn't want to do that in front of customers. It would have been, bad form. It would have, if you're working with someone in a shop, customers are coming in and out, you're not going to get into a heated political row with them. So I just changed the subject or more or less agreed to disagree. But I have seen this mentality before. It's not like I put up a block to it. I've seen this mentality and I've seen these arguments many times. I know what it involves. I know what the pitch is, and I just don't accept it. And there's nothing you could do to make me accept it. Um, so really, you guys have a choice. I'm not forcing you to watch my videos. I'm not forcing you to agree with me. You're the ones choosing to troll me. You are the ones choosing to keep coming back to my channel. I say trolling because I don't think you really want serious debate. Maybe you do. In the case of you, Garner Goy Pride, I did kind of think at one point you were half serious. But the fact you've got such a pathetic profile, I mean, you've got that silly little profile picture, you've no content. Now, to me, that's the signs of a troll. Because if you were a serious person, you would either be uploading videos of your own or you would, you'd have some sort of record of some other activity rather than coming to me. So I don't know why you do it. I don't know why you bother. Um, it may be, it may be that some of these people come across some of my videos they actually do agree with, but then they get disappointed and surprised and shocked when I say things that they don't like. The thing is, I have never went out of my way to pander to anyone. I've always been true to myself, always, always. And it's not my fault if people misinterpret me. If they think I was one thing and then I disappoint them, that's really not my problem. I've had that happen a few times. That, oh Nathan, I'm disappointed by you, as if I had some sort of onus to please them. Um, and I'm not saying they've said that, but I've had that before. Having said that, I don't want to be too negative here because the overwhelming number of responses I get is positive. You know, looking at my analytics, in the 10 years I've had this channel, around 80% of the feedback has been positive. I'm going by the thumbs up, thumbs down ratio. Um, But I don't want an echo chamber. I've never expected an echo chamber. I've never expected people to simply agree with me. And I've had plenty of examples where I've had civil debate with people. That's fine. But if you're going to come to my channel and call me an idiot and say I'm the sheep and I'm the ignorant one, and I make you sick, then do yourselves a favor and piss off. I'm not making you watch my channel. And, I apologize for the language, but really, I have to put it bluntly because their behavior is pathetic. It's utterly pathetic. If you feel so strongly about it, Gary, Goy, Pride, upload videos, state your opinions, do what I'm doing, okay? It's not that difficult to upload a video. Most laptops have a little built-in camera. Um, it's not that practically difficult to do. If you've got a stream laptop, you just press the record button. It's easy enough to do. It doesn't take up that much space once you've uploaded the video. So just, put your conviction where your mouth is and do what I'm doing. Show your face, and that's it. And for all those who support me, thank you. I don't want to give the impression, by the way, these people rattle me. I'm just doing this for the record. I'm just doing this to show this is occasionally what I have to put up with. People who will tag along and they make kind of semi-positive comments, but then they come out with nonsense. And I make a video that they don't like. The thing is, this is nothing new. It's nothing new. It shouldn't come as a surprise. I have always been critical of dictators. I have always condemned the Russian regime. It's not like this is something new. I've always been critical of Putin. I mean, going way back. Look at my videos. I've called out RT years ago. Long before they lost their license. So it's not like I've suddenly changed track and I'm coming out with a surprising position. As for knowledge, you know, ordinary people can only know so much, right? Um, but common sense dictates that when one government is saying that they they're not going to do something, then they do the exact opposite in terms of, well, this isn't going to be invasion, it's just a special military operation. Then it turns into a full blown invasion. And I remember at the start of this, there were Putinists saying, oh, it's all Western propaganda, Russia isn't going to invade. That's precisely what happened. Then they went quiet for a while. Then they started changing the narrative. Oh, but it's a special military operation. And some of them have even shut up altogether on some of the forums I'm on. Because I think as this has got more and more brutal, and they have finally maybe seen what Russia is doing, they realize their position is indefensible. And they don't want to look more foolish than they already have. But I think I have a theory about people like these two Garys. They're unaccountable, right? They don't show their face, they don't upload videos. So they don't have to be accountable. And profile names like Gary, Goys, Pride, or whatever it's called. That's not obviously not a real name. So um, they're not accountable for their nonsense. They don't have to say, this is who I am and this was my position in 2022. Because maybe deep down they know that they might be on the wrong side of history. Anyway, I'll round this up. But I just think their behavior it speaks volumes.